Good morning. Welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. It's a joy to be here. It's a joy to, I don't know if I can hear you or I'm not hearing myself. So hopefully I have sound. If not, please let me know. Anyway, it's all good. Today's show is about Are You Enough? And the answer is yes. So it amazes me. Oh, great, Lisa, thank you very much. I'm not hearing myself, which is okay. I hear myself as I talk. And I talk enough, believe me. So it's a joy to be here with you and talk about Are You Enough? As this topic arose for me this week, as we were going through so many energy shifts and changes that were really felt for me a bit overwhelming. And I'm not used to being overwhelmed. So when I look at what happens to me, I realize that it's happening to millions of others. I'm not alone in this world. And that was the question for me. Are you enough? And I realized that it stems from a feeling of separation. And this week I felt that my soul was actually being separated from my mind. It was somewhat of a almost psychotic feeling. And I immediately went into all kinds of fears. And at the same time, I was driving a car. And so this chaos was just profound until I stopped and said, no, drive the car, Charlie. Come back into the present moment. Don't allow this energy, don't give this energy any recognition. Doesn't matter where it comes from. It doesn't matter how we get to there. You are enough. Just drive the car. Continue doing what you're doing. So as that played out afterwards during the week, in talking with other people who are in some form of suffering and chaos and decision-making, life-changing decision-making, I realized that we're all experiencing this, and that the root cause of this chaos and this sense of separation within us, never mind the separation outside of us, but this separation within us, the root cause is this feeling of not being good enough, not having being the right credentials, or not being. And I said, wow, how have we evolved to this point in our civilization? And so many are still suffering from this concept that we're not good enough on some level. So you'll see some tips I put up in the header. Are you enough? Tiny manual for being your true self, and I'll read them at the end. And I thought it was cute and it was appropriate. But the deeper message of are you good enough or are you enough is how many times in our lives have we felt insufficient? I mean, truly out of our league and not able to handle something. And yet when we look back, I would say that for most of us, a majority of those instances, we made it through and we did succeed on some level. And if we didn't, at least we learned something about ourselves as to our purpose. And maybe we were just, that was the lesson, that no, don't do that. This is not who you are. This is not what you're here to do. This is not your purpose. And so we changed in that instance. So on some levels, it was a gift. But this being and trying to understand, are we enough, is one of our darkest shadows. And what I see as we move forward into these new energies, it's being brought up for us to really take another deeper look. Because it keeps us from becoming, or not becoming, but from being who we truly are, which are unconditional and unlimited beings. And yet, this is what we've been taught, that we're not that we're something else that needs to come under the control of something outside of us. And here's where that separation that I experienced last week began. Because instead of trusting who I am and my decision making, we're always thinking about things, I let it go. And for a moment, I felt unable to make a decision. And it was so vivid, the separation, that I will never forget it. It was a great lesson. I don't recommend it for anybody as a lesson, but it was my lesson. And so as these days of change are upon us, this shadow is rising in all of us. And we learned this from the first time we entered out of the womb into this atmosphere, into this energy field. And from then, we've been continually programmed to believe that we are not enough. Close, but not really quite enough. Even many of our religious teachings inadvertently teach that. If you look at the true teachings of it, they all empower us. But how they're taught to us is done in a manner which makes us feel almost not deserving of the glory or the grace that they promise us. I'm not going to get off on that topic, but right now the earth is coming back into balance. It's healing the separation. And we are part of that healing process. What we're learning is that in these days, the bringing forth of this shadow is for us to move through and to learn to trust ourselves once again and never have to go back to that deep shadow darkness of questioning the truth of our beingness, the truth of our grandness, the truth of our glory. We are divine children of that which we call God. We have never not been anything else. We have lived not only on this planet, but we've lived on many planets, many star systems. We have lived in many forms. We have been all the elements. We have been trees. We have been butterflies. And lifetime after lifetime, whether you remember it or not is irrelevant. Every lifetime had an imprint on our way we look and think of things. But as humans, we decided a long time ago to break away and disregard who we were and create a story of humanity. And in that story, we became not enough. So our healing right now is about really coming to a place within ourselves, within our hearts, where the mind, which is divided, literally, figuratively, you got a right half and a left half, but also etherically. I'm bringing those two halves back together. Because, as I say, as I experienced this week, it was truly a separation of what I felt was soul from mind, right half from left half, masculine from feminine. It was truly the duality that we continually work and play and exist our lives in, but to an extreme level that really was bizarre. Caused by self-doubt. Silly, isn't it? Self-doubt. Doubting ourselves. When you wake up in the morning, do you know you're awake? Of course you do. But if somebody came and told you, no, you're not awake, you're still dreaming, you would go into this questioning, what is reality? And so this is what's happened to us. We don't know, in truth, are we dreaming this? Or are we really experiencing this? And in that moment, we feel like we don't belong somewhere. And that feeling of not belonging is the root cause of all the pain and suffering we see in the world today. And as a collective species now, we're here to realize that all forms of life on this planet are connected. There is no separation. We humans are not separated from the plants. We're not separated from the minerals. We're not separated from anything that is living in some dimensional way, even though we don't understand it. And what's happening is we're all learning to communicate with each other now. And so it's important for us to really know who and how we fit in. And so the stories that we've been told, the stories that we've been taught, all have to be the word renegotiated comes through. We have to renegotiate with our minds from our hearts and say, okay, you're full of crap. I love you, but I'm not believing you anymore. I'm going to choose to experience from my heart, my divine self. And when we start to do that, we will realize that we are enough. Not only are we enough, we're more than enough. We're so much more than enough that we're going to co-create together a completely new way of living in harmony and balance, as it always was designed to be. But it's we in our storytelling that got so enamored with it that we've created what I will put the title to, a nightmare. So is it a dream that we live in? On some levels, yes. It's a dream that we've created as masterful co-creators, as divine beings. And so we have to somehow take responsibility for that as well. And the key, because that's so heavy and overwhelming, is forgiveness. We have to forgive ourselves. Because we know that life can't go on. It's not a doom and gloom story. It's a story of powerful embracing of self. And we have a responsibility and connection with each other that is amazing. And it's going to be so rich with grace and bliss and abundance as we start to truly feel within ourselves and align with the powerful truth of who we are. And we're going to do this in a world where many minds are dead set on taking it all apart and making it bow down to an artificial intelligence. Total separation. And we're not going to allow that. Because every time we recognize that we are enough, it doesn't matter how small it is, what we're doing is adding one more, let's call it blockchain, Bitcoin and blockchains. This is our blockchain. And we'll create our own blockchain where no one will ever control us again. Now, as this comes through, this was not where I wanted to talk on, but this is the message that comes through as I have started, because this is who I am. This is me being enough and knowing and trusting that this divine part of myself, this greater part of myself, this unbelievably powerful, super conscious self has no fear, will not die, however you want to look at it. And I ask you to join with me and millions of others. I truly believe there's millions of us now who are awakening to this and we're being frightened. And for many of us, it's almost life-threatening. But I can assure you that you are enough. You are more than enough. You are more than you can ever imagine. And when we really come to the place where we realize that the destiny of humanity has always been to do this, that we are part of our own destinal evolution, and we're not just being moved around like pawns on a chessboard. No, we're the kings and queens. We are the most powerful and also the ones who need to be most protected. And so we are enough. Each one of us. We are enough to bring balance and harmony back into full manifestation on this planet. So I didn't mean to get so serious, but it's, amazing how our lives unfold, and we end up seeing things completely differently from what we've been taught and from what we've been believing. And it's time for us to now express that, each in our own unique capacity. You are all highly gifted beings. And each one of us could do the same thing, just one thing. And each of us do it differently. That's how beautifully unique we are. So it isn't about we're all just going to morph into just one mind, one humanity. Yes, on some levels that's going to occur, but each of us is going to be the one drop of water and the ocean at the same time. And we're creating a tidal wave. And so think about that. Ask yourself, am I enough? And if you don't feel like you are enough, hopefully you can find somebody you can share that with who won't take advantage or harm you with that knowledge. And the key mostly is about forgiving ourselves. We're always told to forgive others. How about, why don't we forgive ourselves for being misled, for believing in others who really weren't trusting and worthy? I say that to you about me. If what I say to you or what I'm saying doesn't feel comfortable in your hearts, click out. Don't listen to me. But I can assure you there will be many others who will say similar things. And this isn't going to go away, because it's time for humanity to really shine, to really embrace what it truly is, as the divine consciousness that it really is. We are the ones we have been waiting for. It's an old cliche, but that's what it means. We have been waiting for us to awaken within us, to recognize and realize who and what we truly are. And we may say it 8 billion different ways. That's how grand we are. And so with that, I think I'm running out of time here. But I wanted to share that, and I didn't realize that it was going to go in that direction. But I'm glad it did. And it's proven to me that it's okay for me to be and step into who I am in front of 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, even though it's on a video camera. And I never would have thought of doing any of this 6 months ago. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing 6 months from now. But I do know that every time I realize that I am enough, as incomplete as I may feel, I am enough. It empowers me to take that next step. And so I hope that each of you do the same and step out into yourself. Step out from this mind construct of who you think you are and experience what's called the epiphany. The massive consciousness, the awareness, the epiphany of who you are. True Self, looks like there's 11 readings there, and was written sort of as a handbook, and I posted the author of it. And number 1, you are a miracle. Never forget this fact. You are unique. No one will ever be you except you. I'm not going to read her words exactly. You are enough. You are always enough. It's our definition of enough that makes us go haywire. So redefine what is enough for you. Not anybody else, but for you. Always more to learn. Book this morning I read from was Life is a School, and you know how we hate that. However, this is a school on many levels. Every obstacle is an opportunity. And commit to being the best you can be in any given situation. And that requires us to take a moment of stillness. And last week's show was about stillness, about coming into stillness, taking a deep breath, watching all of this, as I said last week, this mind chatter that was playing out as I was driving the car, living in my multidimensional self. I don't look at that as insanity. It's multidimensional, our multidimensional self. And looking at and saying, which do I choose? Do I choose this or drive the car? And the message was, drive the car. Because when it comes down to it, we, as these divine soul beings, are driving this vehicle. But we've been allowing everybody else around us to tell us which way to go. So step back into your true self, honor that, love that, embrace that, and bring that true self forth. We will change humanity into the beautiful rose in the garden of earth. For that, I'm complete. I thank you. I love you. And I respect you. May the water in you and the water in me always remain as source, not resource. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Hope I said something profound and wonderful, because I just want to be enough. Thank you. Have a great week. See you soon.